Hi, friends. Welcome to Soaring Through Chaos, another episode here. And as always, the purpose is to talk about things that are not easy. We're going through one of the most challenging times in many people's lives with the pandemic, with the fear of disease and death, with a lot of job losses, and also the divisiveness that we often see in society. But among all this, there are always people who seem to defy gravity, who seem to keep growing, and who give us a sense of hope and positivity. And one of them is Malti Lakhani. I got to know her through Facebook about 4 years ago because she was running a CEO. What is it called? CEO Cafe
It's
in
an entrepreneur cafe. Yes,
Entrepreneur
it's an
Cafe.
entrepreneur cafe.
And
Hanji.
through the most difficult times, she shows us that it is possible to grow. It is possible to find meaning. So tell us, Malti, how did you end up starting the Entrepreneur Cafe in Baroda and what your life has been before and after that?
Okay, so this is a very beautiful story about entrepreneur cafe. This was one evening. It's around evening. I would say late night, around 12ish, midnight almost. I receive a call from my ex boss from US. And he asks me, Malti, would you like to be city mayor of an organization? I was kind of, he sounds good. Whatever it costs, I'm going to be in there. And he said, okay, then I'll speak to my friend. He will be giving you a call. And then Dr. Nikhil Agarwal, he calls me up and he explains me the entire concept of Entrepreneur Cafe. This cafe, actually, he was traveling to UK and he suddenly meets his old student there, one of his past student there. And they were in a cafe and suddenly, see a familiar face and he was kind of, well, what are you doing here? Like, how come you are here? And the entire story started from there. They spoke a lot, they spoke for us, they found out about each other's work. And then Dr. Nikhil thought if we could meet like this, suddenly and find out so much about each other and we could really, bring in a lot of synergy in our work, why not we start something similar, maybe across the country and maybe the world and, the globe. So the thought began, and what exactly happened was then Dr. Nikhil called me and he asked me, Malti, would you like to be city mayor for our entrepreneur cafe? This is the thought that we met on a cup of tea or coffee. So what we can do is that we could float the similar style of meeting across maybe in your city and you would like to speak to your friends and all. It was all said, done, and the next Saturday, I just floated it on Facebook saying that I'm going to be sitting at Cafe Coffee Day from 6:30 to 7:30, and everyone who's interested in business or talking about networking or talking about losses that they have made or the gains they have made or some tip sharing or receiving some tips. So this would be like, just come over, I'll be there. And that day I sat and you wouldn't believe I got around 7 new faces who I never knew and we started the journey. From there, Shankarji, we have almost now 45,000 members across the world. We are in present more than 130 countries, I would say. And of course on all the operational continents. So, and हर continent पे हम मौजूद हैं like. So this is a journey and that is how we started.
Wow, it sounds so spontaneous. And each meeting is like just get together, have coffee together, and
it is, really and that nice. Is one of the meetings where you and me met.
Yes,
it
of
was
course.
At a Cafe Coffee
at
Day.
Cafe Coffee Day near the Inox Theatre
Yes.
in Alkapur area or race course in Baroda.
Yes.
And
yes.
It takes a lot of courage, especially when we hear about, random people coming and trolling and all that. What gave you the courage to do this? And I know what you're doing is amazing work, especially given that there are not enough jobs. So it makes sense to actually sit down together and share our experiences. What gave you the courage to do it,
Yes.
taking so-called risks of being trolled, being, somebody coming and accosting you or something like that? How do you find the courage to do this?
I'll tell you actually what happens is coming from a background of sales and marketing. I remember those days when you're talking of courage, there was time when I did not have good money to promote my institute, right? So there was time when I used to get the brochures printed or maybe flyers printed and then go door to door and hand over to in the colonies or in their clubs or even slip it across a closed shop or an office so that in the morning people would come open and receive a letter or a flyer and see, okay, there's something about something new that has come in town. So I felt that maybe during that span of time I started interacting with unknown faces and people, and that really gave me a lot of courage, understanding that people are all waiting to speak to us. Only the difference is that we need to take the step. Not everyone would take the step. So when you decide that you want to speak to someone, it's just walk out and go and talk to them. And whenever you feel that the other part that you are in trouble, don't forget to hit the panic button. So these are two lessons I strongly learned then, that you have to stand up and do it for yourself. And networking, meeting people, speaking to people across globe. Like once I got into Entrepreneur Cafe, and it was kind of, I started talking to strangers, and that was a part of my life, my daily life.
Yeah, and I
Silly
was
phone
one of those
calls,
strangers 4 years ago, and
and
it's been a journey. Tell us a little bit about your day job, what you do, your business, and all that, and how did you get into
yes.
entrepreneurship in the first place?
Okay, so if I say entrepreneurship, how did I get into it? I remember my father was offered as he was selected in the income tax to work there, But I think on the 10th day, he left the job and said, "This is not for me. I would do business." And from there, the stories that I heard of him getting into business and working, for his own, being creative, innovative, and that is something it always flew like back to me. And I was kind of that, yes, I can use my freedom, my skills, my capabilities to develop something to my likes and ability. And that is how I got into business, I would say. Yeah, that's about it. Like that is where I draw my energy from, from the backgrounds, from the roots. And as and when, I have been working even on jobs, the one thing that I always saw was that I never wanted to work for x amount of pay, x amount of work. No, it would be like, forget the pay, give me whatever, don't pay me, but let me be here, let me work, let me do the job rotation, let me work in every department, let me understand how others work, what problems they face. So there was time when I would try to improve my work, understanding what is he receiving and how better he could receive it.
Wow.
Right? It was not
And
not only doing to the best of my ability, but the best of what he should be receiving, the output, the end, So that is how probably it set me onto a thinking part, integrating every department of the organization into my work.
that's so nice. And I see you doing something similar, not exactly a department, but how your institute has grown over the years. Can you tell
Yes,
us about where you started and
yes.
where you are now? Because it's evolved quite a lot from what I know.
Yes, if I tell you about my institute, this is Kaizen Institute of Training Excellence. My main bread and butter institute, I would say, that is where I, survive from. Of course, in this institute, we have been training onto aviation for people who want to work into aviation sector. So aviation, hospitality, and travel and tourism, maybe event, retail, dramatics. So any industries allied to aviation industry or the service industry, the hospitality industry is what we train in for. Now, when I come to the name Kaizen, that is continuous improvement, the Japanese term is what I was very fascinated by that. Why and how? 1993, I was working on my second job. So that was my second job in 1993. And that company, that was Verdi Engineers Private Limited, that company was actually operating on Japanese management system, Kaizen. That year, I was rated as the best employee under the JMS Kaizen. And I really enjoyed working on the protocols of Kaizen, looking at continuous improvement. And that is how I decided that whenever I have my company, my organization will be called Kaizen. So from 93, the dream never faded off. It was always there in my mind. I kept on working. I worked as regional head. My last working profile was regional head for AppTech Aviation for the AppTech Limited group. And I was handling Maharashtra, Gujarat, Goa, Madhya Pradesh, and all those areas. And I had a lot of traveling. And that is where I decided, okay, let me now take it off and let me be stable. And then comes Kaizen back to the picture, and Kaizen is framed.
And what
So
kind of
that is,
work has your work evolved now that we are in the pandemic and there's a big slowdown in the hospitality industry? Has your work evolved into something different, or are you continuing with the same
yes.
thing?
Yes, I'll tell you. Apart from having the aviation trainings, I was also into corporate trainings in those days, but not at that length. The institute, I was concentrating more on the institute, but not so much on corporate trainings. But it was always there, a part of it here and there. But gradually, it so happened that since the institute was on auto run, the faculties were there, everything was happening. I started focusing on the corporate trainings, and therein I stepped into corporate trainings with Raymond's, Adani's, Honda. There was the DBR stands people. The entire staff of India is trained by me. Then I did trainings for Maharashtra government, for Andhra government, for all the 13 districts of Andhra government. And when did I venture into in so much depth that from 2015, if I count it now, I have been almost have trained, I would say more than 12,000 people.
Wow.
And now we have surpassed more than 120 corporates. So corporate training definitely kept me going. And while this lockdown came in, while we were having our other classes online, a lot of corporate trainings happened over the digital platforms also. So yes, now when I talk about the lockdown, I think it was around March 22nd we had the Janta curfew, and then then it started extending. So from March till March end, I was waiting period, wondering, okay, what are we going to do? We'll just wait and see how does it open up. It was very thrilling experience to see nobody on the road, and it was like, knowing that you're in the mid of a pandemic, making a history. People will read about you after several centuries that, okay, there was this. So it was a beautiful time, a complete stress-free time, because nobody was going to office, so you're not out of the race. If ever anyone was wondering, I'm out of the race. So everybody was out of the race. Everybody was back home, waiting for things to get over. Come mid-April, I guess, mid-April, and we started wondering. We are a community of trainers, so we started wondering, why not utilize this time and learn something. So out of around 700 to 1500, I guess that was a number with active and inactive trainers. What we decided is, let us each of us pick up one major area that we feel that we would want to give it out to the trainers here for free. And the training started. Daily we would have one trainer coming up and training the entire community of trainers. So this was a give and take. For 45 days to 50 days, we were completely busy with it. So by May, until May end, we were packed up with trainings, and we were praying lockdown should be extended so that we do not, these trainings don't get disrupted. So it was a beautiful journey till May. Yeah, going ahead in June. So comes June. And I started a book reading marathon, it was a learner's marathon.
I saw that, and you had posted on social media as well, LinkedIn, Facebook, I think.
Hanji. Only in June we read more than 15 books. We crossed more than 650 pages together, more than that.
Wow.
So these were short stories from near and far, and there were a lot of management books from Harvard, from lot of things that we mixed and matched, and we are still going on.
So the question arises. I mean, it's so
जी
good that
जी
you see the whole thing as an adventure rather than a lot of people are suffering. There has been loss of lives, loss of life.
yes
But
yes
how are you able to manage the harder or so-called more difficult things like managing payroll, managing any health concerns people may have in your staff? Are you able to still keep them busy? Are you still getting your cash flow
yes
continuing?
yes yes cash flow is by God's grace is continuing because being into the education system or into the learning platform, we the online learning platforms have been a boom. Meanwhile, during these 3 months of the lockdown period, I realized that we had seen a lot of tough times. We saw some of the staffs losing their parents. One of the staff, I think you must have met was Alkesh, if you have come to my office.
Yes, yes,
Alkesh, he himself
yes.
has undergone through cancer.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes, so we had a tough time. I stood by, we just slowed down the pace. He took an off. He started taking his sessions for improvement and all. Today he is out of all that, and he is well. He's fine. He's doing good. So this was like, and many of my faculties who are there, we are all spread out. Some are in Bangalore, some in Chennai, Hyderabad. So we are all spread out. But we all started doing our online trainings, and that kept us going.
And are people open to online trainings now in terms of financially paying? I know there's so much controversy in the schools, parents not wanting to pay for
Yes.
various reasons. It's a very complex subject. How about corporate trainings?
Yes, definitely. I would say that probably when you do it online, the first thing that really you miss is the personal touch because
Yeah,
you're not able to see expressions. So when
yeah,
you do a training and you have around 400 or 450 people out there, you cannot see faces. It is just
at
talking to a
all.
blank screen.
Yeah,
Unlike how we are doing is still very comfortable.
yeah.
So yes, that feel doesn't come. You have a restriction of movement within this window. So as a faculty or as a trainer, you don't have your big playground wherein you can pace up and down and talk to them, get them up from their places and get them do some activities. So there is a lot of restriction. Hence, the style of curriculum or the content also changes. There are a lot of immediate like what we did was we devised a lot of immediate activities which would be done on the paper and they could show it up there, or they could just speak out their answers, or then there would be a complete 1.5 hour workshop or seminar, and after that you would open up for Q&A. They would just type it in the chat box and the questions would be taken. So a lot of different ways in which we devised it out and we have been running it up. But
That's very
yes,
nice.
the personal touch definitely makes a lot of difference. In spite of this, there were a few companies who just came up and they said, in spite of no personal touch, it's perfectly okay. We would still want to go in for the trainings, and we have done it 3 days for 8 hours each day
Wow.
online.
Online.
And it has been excellent. It was to my surprise, the feedback has been excellent. So probably we were able to push in a lot of activities through writing and showcasing the talents, and so it really helped a lot. Yes.
But how, as you said, the challenge is always how to make it personalized, how to engage with people. And
Thank you.
one of the things I'm facing, I'm doing all this because I love it. But there are
Yes.
times when there are 4 or 5 interviews. So I may be spending a whole day in front of a computer and I'm not used to it.
Hygiene.
So a lot of people
Hygiene.
are not used to being in front of a Zoom call or some kind of a
Right.
video conferencing all day long. Have you
Right.
noticed how people are responding with long hours of training? Or
Yes.
how do you manage that? How do you manage it?
Normally what we do is that the first thing that when we start a training, whether it is physical and now of course online also, I tried to experiment a little bit, and I told everyone that the moment you feel that you want a break, just raise your hand and we will have a break. So if there are 50 people in the room and all 50 want to have a break, everyone is allotted a 3 breaks of 5 minutes each. So whenever one person takes a break of 5 minutes, 5 minutes, we all will take a break of 5 minutes. So in any case, we're going to surpass the actual training time with breaks itself. I realized one thing is that the moment people decided that yes, they have this freedom, they just went back, relaxed, and the entire sessions have gone very smoothly.
Wow,
For
that's a
that,
very sweet way of doing it. So you're helping them build consensus. So rather than you being
yes,
the boss and
yes,
telling them what to do, you're allowing
that is
that to
that
kind of
is
emanate.
that has always worked. That has always worked. And
Yes, yes.
if you remember Shankarji, we have seen a lot of movies, right? Do you
Yes.
remember having seen Sholay?
Yes, of course. Yeah, the
Yes.
classic
So
one.
let me take a little test, shall I?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Tell me who was the actor who played Jay?
Playing
Okay, who
what?
was Jay? Or who were the two actors, main lead actors? कौन थे? Who were they?
Amitabh and Dharmendra, that's what I remember.
Lovely, lovely. Do you remember the female actress, the
Hema
actor?
Malini.
Okay. Do you remember how many daughters she has?
She has daughters in the movie or in
She,
real
no,
life?
no. I know real life.
Two, I
Or
think
how
two.
many? Yes. And how many kids Amitabh ji has?
I only remember Abhishek, but I think there's at least one daughter, but I'm not sure.
One daughter also. Okay. So now another thing is that what is the full name of Aurangzeb?
You mean the Emperor Aurangzeb?
Hanji.
Ah,
Okay. I don't
Aurangzeb,
want an answer.
Aurangzeb Khan, I think. I don't know. I don't know.
No. Okay. Okay. You remember Kalam Sahab, right?
Yeah, Dr. Palan. Yes, of course.
Hanji. You remember his full name?
No, I just remember, I've never met
Okay,
him.
okay, that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. What I want to say is the way we train doesn't resonate with us for years. But that Dharmendra and Amitabh, even while you eat popcorn and watch a movie, you remember everything about it.
That's
Right.
true.
So,
That's
so,
true.
so when people say, okay, we don't remember the entire name, I tell them it's perfectly okay. It's nobody's mistake, but please change the style of learning now.
That's true. I mean, there's an
And that
audiovisual
is
component, very engaging audiovisual component
yes, yes,
in
yes.
all
So
things. Yeah.
we make it with a lot of activities, a lot of fun, case studies, stories. So it just goes that way. Singing, music, we learn through music, we learn through drama,
Yeah.
and that is how
Yeah.
we keep it engaging.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And
I'm a big proponent of the multiple intelligence scale. And if you can engage all these
Anji,
senses, music, and I
yes,
know
yes,
you probably offer those things too, through music,
yes.
through movement, through dance. In my leadership workshops, I incorporate all these things. Through
Wonderful. Yes,
space,
yes, yes, exactly.
we even do virtual
Anji.
hugging nowadays.
Oh yes. Oh, I would want to learn
We go
that. That
like
is a
that.
good thing. Oh wow. So
or,
virtual
or,
high
or
five
they'll do
also.
this. Because people need that feeling of touch, and because
Yes,
they cannot
yes,
touch each
yes.
other, it's the visceral feeling, I'm here.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
because I think it's very human to want to be in the same room where for thousands of years we've been conditioned to be face to face. So the internet becomes a little bit of a gap, but through visual, audio-visual cues, through movement cues. Um, since you mentioned Sholay, I danced to that song. Do you remember that song in
Oh,
Sholay?
beautiful. Yes, yes, very well, very well.
The one about dance?
Sorry.
The one about dance.
Sorry.
Hema Malini dances to a song,
Yes, 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 yes.
and
The
and it's
song when
when
there's
When Amjad Khan and all the villains are throwing
yes, yes, the
bottles.
glass is put on the ground. Yes, yes, I remember that song very
Do you
well.
remember? Do you know
I
Do you
mean,
remember the lyrics of that song?
let me recall. You have it in.
Yeah, it's Jab tak hai jaan
Oh
jaane ja.
yes, Chane Jahan
So
Main Nachungi. Yes.
the reason maybe I'll do it today. Every day we do a dance session also because
Oh,
it's nice to
lovely.
balance that out with more serious discussions like this. And the
Thank
reason
you.
is that this particular song is very interesting because people say, how long can we go? I mean, how much suffering more through the pandemic? So we dance to this song, and then imagine that there's glass on the floor and we are dancing on the glass to remind that we are not
Okay.
going through the same experience. So
Yes.
we can feel the pain.
Beautiful.
It's a visceral feeling when you see somebody else bleeding through glass, or a
Yeah.
friend, like in your case, one of your colleagues going through cancer, or a
Yeah.
parent losing life. It
Yeah.
hurts. But to be
Yes,
able
it
to
does.
appreciate that, to be feeling the empathy, we can't always feel compassion. Sometimes we get distressed, right? So it is
Absolutely.
necessary to balance that out. So one reason we do this, the glass dance, is because we want people
Beautiful.
to experience the visceral pain and say, but I'm
Yeah.
not dancing in glass, so let me move forward.
Absolutely.
So if somebody else is dancing on glass, such as going through cancer or losing a parent, yes, we have to appreciate that they are bleeding, it is hurting, and we have to be there for
Yes.
them. So again, it's amazing that you've been able to keep up the momentum at Kaizen. And what are your plans going forward? I mean, is this the first time you've done online trainings, or now it's 100% online, I would think, isn't it?
Yes, this is the first time that we have been doing online trainings. We never considered them in any case. And yes, the further curriculums that we are developing are such that they fit the online training as well as the physical training. Also, I'm developing some online courses so that people could it could automatically be taken by people as and when they want. They would be all pre-recorded and pre-designed courses, which will be fitting up on a digital platform, and people can just come and take it up when they would want. Like there is something called as success mantra, so this would be talking about the tools and techniques about the tools and techniques of success. What are the sure
Mhm.
shot things that you must have, you will need, without which success is not possible.
So now,
So,
yeah, please go ahead.
sorry, sir, please go ahead.
So during normal times, we talk about success, we talk about making money, being successful, being productive, and so on. But during these particular times, at least some priorities have changed, isn't it? There's so much
Yes,
distress.
right.
Have you done anything in the social and emotional area to help people go through these stressful times? Are you offering such training?
Yes. Yes, actually, the learners marathon that I'm running is basically aimed at this, bringing in stories and from different parts of the world. Right now, currently in the month of August, what we are doing is we are bringing in folk tales from all across the world, from every country of the world. So, what is happening is that we have started from the alphabet A, the letter A, right? So we are offering stories from every country of the world. We did Argentina, we did Algeria, Albania. Like we have, and we are going to do Andorra probably, or we'll be doing, Australia. So what happens is that we are talking about the country, the people, the culture there, the background, and that's giving a lot of inputs and bringing in a lot of knowledge and sharing at home, within a home, when one person reads a story. Apart from that, I've been doing a lot of counseling sessions because there are a lot of people who have been would say in a bit of Down syndrome, or not very happy about how things have stuck up. How would we go ahead? Many people who have lost their job and they're trying to build a new skill. So counseling them on it and how they could make a way ahead, slowly step in, not look at that figure that they were taking in home before the lockdown, but at least start with something somewhere and build a parallel line together, parallel support together, so that anytime again they do not get stuck in this kind of situation.
True, true.
So we
And
are
not
working on
everybody is
that.
used to being without a paycheck.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are used to
Absolutely.
that regular paycheck, and that's very stressful.
Absolutely.
So
One way,
this countrywide or worldwide, what do you call, storytelling and mythology and all that, are you doing it as a business, or are you doing it as an offering from your institute?
no, this is a complete offering. Since June we are doing it, and it's an
Wow,
offering for
I would love to be a
everyone
part
who
of it.
wants to.
So when
I would send you a
What I would
link.
what I would like you to do is, for the people who are watching, anything that is open to the public, please share the links and I'll
Yes.
add them to this video. Along with this video, I'll have those links
Definitely.
available on YouTube and on other media so that people can participate, like your Kaizen
Yes,
Institute.
yes.
Are you still actively working with what is it, the Entrepreneur Cafe and all that?
Yes, we are actively working.
And is it
As of
online
now,
now?
of course, it is online. We do have a website. It is online. We are still giving a lot of consultation to entrepreneurs, to startups, giving them a lot of backups and supports, doing a lot of, I would say, seminars, workshops for different colleges and all. Recently, I did one for Mitibai College,
Oh,
Mumbai.
nice.
So,
And we
yes.
can
So,
still have coffee from home so that we can
we
have.
can have, the best part about Entrepreneur Cafe was that you can meet people without spending money.
That's true.
All that you would spend was buy your own coffee.
That's it. That's it.
BYOC. That's
Yeah.
it. Buy your own coffee.
It
So
made
it
life
was
simple. It made my life easier
absolutely.
because there are organizations. I was a founding member of TIE, but it's become like the
Oh,
high-end entrepreneur organization. So then
Hanji,
people worry
Hanji.
about affordability, going to a five-star hotel.
Yes.
But the Entrepreneur Cafe is it's open to all. And I love that
We,
because
yes, yes.
those who are even
It is
interested in
inclusive.
entrepreneurship, those who have never done a business. So that's really
Absolutely.
empowering. So
Absolutely. I remember we also came up with a concept called futurepreneurs under
that's right.
entrepreneur,
That's right.
wherein we had included little kids and that all teenagers who would want to explore into various and they would need some mentors. So that is how we started giving them the platform.
And is that still going on online, or do you still have futurepreneurs meetings now?
We do still have, as of now, we are a bit on the lower side looking at the situation, of course, but we are planning to pick it up again.
Wow. And if there's
Yeah.
something you can tell people, I mean, we're all going through this, how we can find meaning in our life. You've already given a few hints about being engaged, doing different things, the kind of things you are doing yourself, supporting your employees. Um, but there's a lot of loneliness.
Yes.
People who are single or alone are feeling lonely. People who are married or with family are feeling constrained. So, in other words, there's
Yes.
very few people who are able to manage the situation they're in. What are your 2 cents? I mean, what would you recommend? I'm sure your daughter is a teenager, right? She must be at home too, isn't it?
Hanji,
So
Hanji.
how do you deal with it as a parent, as a family member, or sometimes being alone or being stuck in certain situations? Do you have any thoughts about what people can do to really find
Yes.
meaning and deal with the stress?
Sir, I would like to quote this here that if you look out and you see a beautiful big building, a huge building, right? So what we all are looking at is the beautiful glass, the beautiful structure of the building, but nobody is looking at the foundation of the building. Nobody is even able to meet his eye with the foundation because it is not seen. It's so deep within. If I feel that if you want to build that foundation, it has to be in the moment. So whatever we do, we have to live in the moment. In the moment. You won't believe I just spread out this. I also keep on doing free workshops, and I
Yeah.
spread out this word around for a free workshop. And one of my past students, just joined the workshop. He said, "Ki, ma'am, I was at the verge of committing maybe taking a step which would not have been very good. I would have regretted in whichever form I was in. Right? It was a very suicidal thought for him the way he was existing. But after we started these activities and we started the workshops and all, he started getting engaged and he realized that life is a phase wherein up and down, so it's gonna be there. But you need to build in that foundation, that strength to withhold the entire building, the entire structure.
I'm going to always
Eh,
remember that. We always look at the marvels, the top, how tall it is, never even
Yes,
considering how deep the roots have to be. Same thing with
absolutely,
trees, same thing with
absolutely.
fruits and
Yes,
flowers. We always admire the flowers and the fruits, but nobody even worries about the roots. And only
absolutely.
when there's a hurricane or there's a flood or something, then we think about it. And sometimes it's too late. So I'm
Very
glad that
true.
you
And
pointed that out.
sir, one
So
more thing.
yeah, please go
Sorry,
ahead.
one more thing I would like to add up is if I wait for a second or I just stay and look around me, there'll be so many things that I feel I could do and change the world. it will surprise you. These 4 months of lockdown, I have reared some 3 sparrows, which have fallen from the nest. Then I have reared a beaver bird. Then I have been also able to take care of an Indian silver bill. There's a small finch kind of bird. And currently I'm rearing 2 squirrels who were orphaned in somebody's AC in
I
the
think
air
I saw
conditioned
some
unit.
pictures on social media. You've been posting
Yes,
something, right?
yes, yes.
With your
So this
daughter?
is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Hanji, bilkul. So coming to the parenting part, when you ask how do you deal with all this? My daughter is involved in the learners marathon. My daughter is involved in these all rescues that we make. And she has her classes going on. She has her music going on. So she has so much to occupy herself.
That's true. In a meaningful way, in a very productive
In a meaningful way, yes. So we try and find out meaning from our surroundings.
You make it sound so easy, Malti.
I
And
feel it is
I'm glad,
actually
and
very
I'm
easy,
glad.
sir. It is easy, sir. It is actually very easy, sir. Of
Yeah,
course, we know if you cannot do anything about the situation, at least don't worry. Do one
that's
thing, that is, don't worry about it. Because when your mind is blurred, you can't think of anything bright.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
if we're going through a physical ailment, if we have a family member, if there is a problem with food, for example, there was a challenge when migrant workers had difficulty. So our heart goes out, and we can do something really about it.
absolutely.
But
Yes, yes, we
but
did
when we
that. Yeah.
cannot do something about another remote corner of the world, being distressed is not very useful. But the human mind tends to do that once in a while. So
Yes, it does. It
I'm glad
does.
we talked. And do you have any other closing words to say to the people who are watching us?
I would say thank you so much for watching this, and I would say that hope is the only mode to life. So never lose hope. There'll be situations that will change, but along with that change, it is we who are supposed to change. So the only thing that is constant in this world is change, and it is going
And
to be there.
yes, yes. And
Uh,
it's not easy, but we have to embrace
we'll
change.
have to,
Change
yes,
is
we
the
will
only
have
thing
to.
that won't change. And thank you again, everybody who's watching. If you have any more questions, or if you want to know more such tips from Malti or learn about her work, we'll definitely provide all the links. And if need be,
Yes,
we can also do another follow-on session. So please let me know.
definitely, sir.
Thanks again, and
Thank you
see you
so much,
around.
Shankarji.
And here's a
Thank you
virtual
so much.
hug.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
See you soon. See you soon.
Thank you. See you soon. Thank you.